Greetings, this is Nobbler, and in this episode of Nobbler Builds, we will show you a great place to build a base in the game Subnautica. We will be playing this in the creative mode so that we can just show you how to get there from the initial life pod spawn point, and then some tips on how to construct the base once you're at this location. After the build, we'll show you the place is good for a reason. There's access to transition zones and resources that may be difficult for players early in the game to locate.
The fabricator draws from available data to provide environment appropriate.
Once we've spawned into the game, there are a few things that you'll want to have before really building this base in full. We are just going to, since we're in creative mode, deploy the mobile vehicle bay. So that way we can create our Seamoth.
The Seamoth is a fast, safe mode of transport, but remember that swimming is good for your glutes and endorphin levels.
And that will save us some time traveling to the location where we're going to build the base.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
So first we need to get oriented. We're going to go up to the surface, see where the Aurora shipwreck is. And we're going to turn west. So when the Aurora is to the left and behind you, you'll be traveling west. And as you travel west, you're going to go through the coral and eventually reach a kelp forest. You'll want to go to the other side of the kelp forest, just continue in that same direction, and you'll come to the grassy plains. You can recognize the grassy plains because the sand turns light colored and the grass is red. As compared to in the kelp forest and the corals, you'll see it's green. Once you've reached the grassy plain, you'll follow the southern edge. So at the boundary between the kelp forest and the red grass, just continue along that edge, that boundary between the two zones, until you see these mountains or peaks coming up out of the ground, and this is where we want to follow the ridge line. So you'll turn slightly to the right and follow this ridge line. If you find yourself going deeper, like the slope is going downhill, just go back uphill, try to stay at the top of this ridge. You will pass by, as you can see, some crevices in the ground, but the one that we're looking for is here. At a high point along the ridge, it has a slice going across it. On the left side are the fingers sticking up out of the ground. On the right side is the grassy plains. And this is the great place to build a base. The first reason is it's just a cool location, especially if you're going to be building your Moonpool here. This crevice makes a natural access point for your Moonpool. So we come up on the side of it. You want to line it up so that when you place the Moonpool, the legs of the Moonpool will be straddling the crevice. And you'll be able to get a vehicle in and out of that crevice and into the Moonpool. So here, for example, you can see that the legs have straddled on the left and right. It could be a little more centered than that. And the second thing we'll want to add, of course, is electricity. We want the base to have power so we have oxygen and that our vehicles can recharge there. This is very helpful earlier in the game before you get the technologies that allow you to recharge your vehicles by heat or by solar power. And in many of my playthroughs I build a base here, and I've never seen a need for more than 4 solar panels. That's been enough to run a water filtration system and a fabricator, as well as to recharge vehicles, and you don't see the power go out. Now in creative mode we don't lose power or oxygen, but in survival mode those are real factors that you'll have to deal with. And so you can see that when we landed the vehicle, because of the position of the moon pool, when we exit this base we'll be coming out through that nice opening in the crevice. So to place that moon pool as your center item, you want to be on this side, so that'd be the west side of the crevice, and when you place it, the antenna, the spinning antenna of the moon pool, should be on the right or to the rear of the vehicle when launched. And again, the reason that you want that direction is because when you launch your vehicle, you don't want it pointing at a wall. So you can see we've got wide open space, the vehicle drops out to a nice depth without hitting the ground. Good clearance on both sides. You could exit through the back if you wanted to. It's a bit more narrow. And to dock, it automatically turns your vehicle around for you. And here we can see it's at a depth of about 40 meters, 50 meters. So these solar panels will work at full strength. And that's why this is a great location to build a base. It's practical. Now you could say that could be anywhere near the surface. You could build a base. Why build it in the desolate plains and the grassy plains when there's no resources? And I'll tell you the reason why is because this location, at this crevice, there is actually access to some of the mid-game materials that you'll need, such as diamonds and rubies, as well as lots of quartz and blood kelp. Because as we exit this base, and slightly to our left, there is a deeper crevice. Traveling deep into this crevice will reveal a lot of resources that may be difficult to find early in the game. For example, if you want to build a lot of windows, you'll notice that there is quartz covering these blood kelp fields. This is an area where you will actually end up with too much quartz. You could make your entire base out of glass and still have quartz to spare. Of course, the blood kelp is used for some of the advanced chemistry, and along these rock walls you will find rubies, uranium, and magnetite. You will also find diamonds here, which is going to be essential to get your laser torch, your laser cutter, to work. And as you continue deeper and deeper into this kelp forest, all you need to do is follow this crevice. It will eventually take you to the Lost River. And so the second reason, or one of the biggest reasons, that the base is a great place is because of your access to these mid-game resources. There's a ruby there. Lots of blood kelp. But you'll notice here that the water is starting to turn green. That tells us that we are nearing the Lost River. And that's the one of the deeper zones, without giving away too much. And you'll need to frequently visit and collect materials from there, and then return to the surface, and then go back down and collect more materials. So all I'm doing is I'm just following the left wall through the kelp forest. This is a location that I would normally build a beacon. And you'll see that ahead of us there's a green river. Broken arch above it. And this is our transfer into the Lost River zone. Transition point. Traveling down this river and following the flow of these waterfalls down, down, down into the Lost River, we're reaching a depth of 700, nearly 800 meters, which is the maximum depth of the Seamoth, the submarine craft that we're in. So at 700 meters, you'll see some thermal vents. We're going to go past those and a little deeper down to the second set of thermal vents at about 750 meters depth. Here you can find table coral, rubies, and other minerals that you'll need to advance further into the game. So this is where I would build a forward base, which is the second great place to build a base. The reason for this is that the Seamoth can get to a depth of 800. If we go any deeper into the Lost River, we will lose hull integrity. Our Seamoth cannot go that deep. So if I build my base right here, at about 750 meters deep, I can park a Prawn Suit at this depth inside of a moon base like this one. I can power this moon base or moon pool with a thermal plant placed on one of these vents. And they can be tricky to place. You can see it doesn't accept a lot of locations, but even if you place it towards the outside, you'll see that it's still close enough to the moon pool to provide electricity to it by that blue beam. So we could keep a Prawn Suit parked in here, travel down here with our Seamoth, come and retrieve our Prawn Suit, and then park the Seamoth so the Seamoth charges up, and put some food production in here so that you can restore your food and water before venturing any deeper. Now I don't want to give away too many spoilers in the game, so I'll just simply show you how to get back out of here to the original base camp at the surface. And these two bases are all that you will need to finish the game Subnautica. So this is sort of like the transition base between the ultra deep and the surface where the Seamoth can no longer go any deeper. So this is sort of like the buck stops here, Seamoth has to park. And you trade out for either the Prawn Suit or the Cyclops big submarine. Now to get back out of here, we head past those thermal vents and we just follow these waterfalls. And here you can see that the kelp, the blood kelp transition place is really easy to find, just following those waterfalls back out. Again, I would place a beacon right there at this transition between the Lost River and the blood kelp zone. And the reason why I want my beacon here is because if I go straight up from this location, I can get to the surface. So it's very easy to find your transition between the surface water and the Lost River because you can just go straight up and straight down through this ravine or trench, maybe is another word for it given its depth.
Increased local radiation levels. Trend is consistent with damage to the Aurora's dry.
Now we're barely able to detect some surface light, but it's just a straight shot going up and down into the Lost River and between the Lost River and the surface. And once we reach a depth of about 50, the base isn't too far away. We can just head east, and there you can see faintly that the mountains and ridgeline is starting to appear, showing you that we're not very far away from that first location where we built. Just up the slope to the right, you can see the faint glow of the moon pool. But it is best to place beacons at your bases and transition points just for easier navigation. Landmarks work. As you can see, I had no problem finding my base, even without a compass. And that's the reason why these are a great place to build a base. Lots of resource access, kind of a cool location for launching your vehicles. And with these two locations, you should be able to reach and complete every part of the game without running out of food and water or oxygen. Obviously, because we have vehicles for that latter part. So I hope that this has been a helpful guide for you, and that you might be able to use these to your advantage when you play through Subnautica. Thanks for watching.